Welcome to episode 118 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the aggressive goes around edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. Thanks as always to my co-host and partner in crime, Josh Fine, for the name. I was going to go with RG Bargy Worldwide since it is Le Mans weekend, coming off an IMSA weekend, but RG Bargy, I should just throw it in sparingly. But aggression did go around for sure all over the world of motorsports, mostly in a bad way. In Gateway this past weekend, Ross Chastain hit everything but the lottery. Amongst other things that went on in the Cup race, the Enjoy Illinois 300. And we had Xfinity at Portland with a lot of wrecking, a lot of spinning, people going off, and AJ Allmendinger winning while he got a top 10 in the Cup race after not even ever running a lap at Gateway before. If you're somebody who had practice and you finish behind AJ Allmendinger, probably won't be feeling too good about that, including my driver who started on pole and led 27 laps and then disappeared after that. We'll get into the Detroit Grand Prix where Winch Power got tied Michael Andretti in wins, or was one away from Michael Andretti in wins in IndyCar, and retook the points lead as they go to Road America this weekend. The Roundup, we'll get into plenty to talk about there all over the world of motorsports. Preview Azerbaijan, IndyCar for Formula One, IndyCar Road America, Cup and Trucks will be at Sonoma. And of course, we'll throw to the man right here. My name is Philip Matthew, and I'm here with my co-host, Josh Fine. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm doing good, Phil. I'm exactly right about that. Aggressive goes around. Ross Chastain, like you said, he hit everything but the lottery. I mean, I think he hit everything but the pace car. Cue Days of Thunder there. I was watching Top Gun the other night, so kind of fits there too. But yeah, a lot of that going around with him, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse on Sunday. And of course, Richard, right into Bubba Wallace there in that race and ruined his deal. And then Denny got involved there too on Sunday. But you had that, and then Alexander Rossi was a little bit more aggressive than what we've seen in the past 2 years, and finishing second, came about a second short of winning his first race since 2019. Will Power got it done at Detroit, avenging last year, and all that stuff. And of course, a lot of rain went around at Xfinity. We continue to question the driving credibility for people like Jesse Iwuji and being able to participate in Xfinity and wreck Ty Gibbs. Although that not like we care too much that it was Ty Gibbs, I guess. But yeah, a lot of aggression, good and bad, going around here this past weekend.
Plenty of aggression and plenty of racing to go over for sure here tonight. And that's what we're going to do right now. Let's start with Gateway. First time Cup has been at Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway. They had all kinds of characters in the booth. You had Hillbilly Clint and his cousin brother, Kenny Wallace, and his sister and former car owner, Michael Waltrip, all in there calling this race. Chase Briscoe qualified on pole for the first time in his career in the Cup Series, but then after a bad year tire failure, goes and falls all the way back. He led the first 27 laps and then ended up not having anything to show for it. But Joey Logano, who was fast all weekend up until the last session of qualifying, ends up having a nice battle with Kyle Busch, former teammates battling each other, two guys that have never really liked each other. And Kyle Busch goes and loses late to Joey Logano. They go 5 laps over the scheduled distance there at the Enjoy Illinois 300. Joey Logano led 2 times for 22 laps, gets his second win of 2022, so plenty of twos going on there. Kyle Busch finished second. Kurt Busch finished third after winning second stage. Ryan Blaney gets another top 5 finish. And Eric Almirola, one of his best runs of the year, probably his best run of the year. Martin Truex, who was in the news because people are talking about him, whether he's going to retire or not, came back to finish 6th. Eric Jones finished 7th. Ross Chastain finished 8th, but it definitely wasn't as clear-cut as him finishing 8th. Christopher Bell finished 9th. AJ Allmendinger started tailback after replacing defending series champion Ben Rhodes, who practiced and qualified the car. And started tailback, no practice, finished 10th. You look at some of the other people. Austin Cindric was a beneficiary of Chase Briscoe's misfortune and won the first stage. Yeah, and Michael McDowell led 34 laps there. Larson there, Reddick, people who scored some stage points. Clyde, which we're going to get into. Daniel Suarez got some stage points. Even Cole Custer got some stage points. And then you have Kevin Harvick didn't get any stage points and destroyed his car. Stenhouse up there. Denny Hamlin got stage points in stage 1, and that's, I guess, where we're going to go. I mean, there's 2 ways we can go with this. We can talk about Logano, who had the pace and in the end had a very nice battle. One of the best, I think, head-to-head, clean battles we've seen in recent memory in NASCAR amongst 2 guys that have never really cared for each other, whether they were teammates, when they were teammates, or post their time together at Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle Busch left raging, yelling at his brother, amongst other people, not very happy. Joey Logano, very excited, getting another win at a first-time racetrack, getting his 30th career Cup Series win. So, I mean, he's getting to that number. I mean, I guess that number in terms of NASCAR Hall of Fame really just is nowhere to be. There's no specific number there. But for Joey Logano, I think his Hall of Fame credentials are pretty solid at the moment. He just wants that second championship. There's so many of these guys that want that second championship to solidify their career. Joey's young enough where if he can get a second one, it might start something. It might start a little trend, even with the youth movement that's going on in the sport. But more than the Logano story and the battle he had with Kyle Busch was Ross Chastain, who has been a standout performer this year in the Cup Series, breakout year for him. But yesterday was not one of his finest performances of his career or his life. Got into Denny Hamlin hard in turn 1, 1 and 2, and then sent him into the fence. Similar to what Logano did to William Byron at Darlington. But then Denny Hamlin made it his job to basically go and follow Ross Chastain everywhere and use his car as basically a way to go and tell him, hey, you ain't gonna like this the rest of the day. It even got worse later on. There was a restart or whatever, and it went 3 wide, and Clyde and Ross Chastain got into it. And
Denny
then
crossed him over right after that.
Yeah.
Alpha turn 2.
Yeah, and that was, so they had that. BJ McLeod got involved in that deal. He was going to run over Clyde, which was going to be good. I kind of want to see that, personally, because BJ McLeod's a big dude. I can't put these glasses on here, so I'm going to move this. Fact of the matter is, with the events of yesterday, I mean, Ross Chastain is a contender for this championship. He hit everything but the lottery. He was getting targeted by multiple drivers. He still finished in the top 10. He still beat his teammate. And he ain't going away. He's gonna make it through at least a round or 2. I would venture to say. This performance has been steady the whole year. It's not like they've had any real dips. There are teams that are just wildly inconsistent, like the 14 car is just an example, or the 2
I
car,
mean, the
which is a
11's been
rookie.
wildly
The
inconsistent.
11 is not consistent at all. The only reason they're in the playoff is because they've got 2 wins. Otherwise, they're in the 20s in the points. So Chastain's going to be there, but basically now Denny Hamlin's like, I'm going to run you over in the playoffs. And one thing I loved is uh, his Ross Chastain's car owner, Justin Marks, saying, bring it. Because I think it's almost like he's calling him on his shit because he's like, hey, I know you. You aren't known as a big time closer. He's basically insinuating we're getting some nice melodrama here, but I think it's like Justin Marks is basically insinuating you ain't a closer, bruh. I want to see you actually try to go and finish my car off and think it's gonna work out. So I guess we have a rivalry in the Cup Series. We have Ross Chastain against the world, huh, Josh?
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at how this is playing out, with Ross Chastain being an aggressive driver, and kind of want to parallel it back to Brad Keselowski when he was going through the Xfinity Series, his first 2 years there when he was driving for JRM in the '88 car, and even the first year he was in the 12 car, and first year at Penske there when the 22 car. I mean, go back to the last Gateway race in 2010 when he got hooked by Carl Edwards coming to the line in that race, and that was because of aggression because he bumped Carl Edwards in turn one, and then Carl went and hooked him right back on the front straight and everything, and then
Roid Rage
yep,
special.
Yep, that's the Roid Rage special there, and I mean, I don't think it's the same thing there, but here, I mean, the whole season, and even in past, I mean, go back to 2017, Kevin Harvick at Darlington with Chastain, coming off of 2 in the Xfinity race there, so there's history of Chastain being aggressive, but I feel like it's kind of the same deal with Brad Keselowski. He's trying to race people hard all the time. And he's trying to prove himself in the series, and trying to prove he belongs. And he's been really good the whole season driving. I mean, I guess like that, and he's got 2 wins. Being able to pull off stuff like that, and you agree with it or not, but he's there. He's there in the 1 car for a reason, and Justin Marks paying him to do that job. I mean, he go back to Chip Ganassi putting him in that car after replaced Kyle Larson. I mean, he's in the car for a reason, so he knows how to race people hard, and yeah, I mean, just dial it back a little bit, and be a little bit more, I guess, consistent with your approach, and being able to know when to be aggressive and not when to be aggressive, but. That's how it goes, and we'll see what happens. And he's just another young gun coming up through the series that's basically ruffled the feathers by being good and racing hard against the established veterans, just like Keselowski. He ruffled feathers with Denny, ruffled feathers with Carl Edwards, you know, Kyle Busch, all those guys. So it'll come around eventually, and in probably 10 years, Ross Chastain will be kind of like that too, I guess, with other
It'd be
young
like that
guns.
with Harvick.
Yeah.
I saw the comparison on the Bias Play Instagram where he was comparing Ross Chastain to Ernie,
Oh
which was
yeah,
interesting.
the
Which is
apology there
very,
too.
very. Which there is a lot. If there is a similarity that and having to apologize and running into a lot of people, causing wrecks, whatever, that Ernie comparison is huge because you look at the small time where Ross was. Ross was driving just dog shit for most of his career. He had like 1 season in Brad's truck about 7 years ago or something like that. Then that opportunity came along with Cheap, in that 42 Xfinity car, and then he raised himself another level to the point where he is now. If it wasn't for that opportunity to jump in that type of equipment, he wouldn't have gotten in other Cup equipment, been running every week in the Cup stuff. He wouldn't have been getting a Nice. He wouldn't have gotten that Nice 40. The Nice situation probably is similar to what he had always been in, but he raised that team up to a level to where when he drives their trucks, they're at a different level than where they are elsewhere. Ross Chastain has proven himself. Ross Chastain has always been this guy. Ross Chastain has usually pissed people off. Now he's doing it in the big leagues, and there are a lot of sensitive people now. The sport has changed, Josh, obviously. Even when you came in to it, what is it, 17 years ago, really, when you first, or
I'd
you
say this
started
is 20
watching.
years now, so
Year 20 years for you? Yeah.
yeah.
So I figured it was like Joe, I think, was the one that was talking about like 04, 05. For me, this is going back 30 years. This aggressiveness, it's part and parcel. Kevin Harvick did it. All these guys that call out all this stuff, they did it too. I'm a Tony Stewart fan. He didn't like it. Well, he did it too. Kevin Harvick's done it. Denny Hamlin's done it. Kyle Busch has done it. All these guys, they've done it. And now that it's reversed and they're older and they've got more on the line now, they're not a fan of it. When they had kids and they got this and that, they're not a fan of it. When they were 20 years old, they were doing that crap. And I'm not condoning Ross Chastain's driving standards yesterday. Wasn't good. That's the saddest I've ever seen Ross Chastain, and the MFer used to start and park. The guy was sad, depressed, and
Yeah, he looked like he was about to cry.
yeah, and he's got guys targeting him. And it's like, dude, that was the worst cup race he's probably had in his career that actually mattered. You know, like he's driven start and park cars, he's driven in 25th to 30th for years in the Xfinity series. The fact of the matter is, though, let's see it. That's what I want to say. I'm like, all right, fine. He effed up. Let's see it. Is he going to be able to race around Hamlin? Will Hamlin use him up before the playoffs, or will Hamlin wait until like the Elite Eight and use him up? Or if he gets knocked out of the playoffs and Chastain is still in, what is it to him to go and not run him over? Like that's literally the whole point. Clyde isn't going to run over anybody, so nobody gives a fuck. It really doesn't matter. But it's more about Denny Hamlin because he's got this like anger issue with all the drugs he's done in his life that he wants to go and call bullshit on other people, even though he's no saint and he's no angel. It's whatever to me. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to add that Ernie Irvin part. I'm sorry if
No, you didn't cut me off. I mean, it adds on more to it, really.
Because I think when it comes to Denny Hamlin, he's always kind of been a hypocrite in his some of his takes and some of the ways he's gone about driving some people. And it's like, dude, we get it. Now you're owner Denny Hamlin, so you have a little bit more clout. But here's the reality of the world. At the end of the day, if Joe Gibbs wants Ty to drive that car, he could just as easily tell you, hey, you got your own team. Go ahead. You can go and drive that. That's what they're going to do to Martin Truex. They're saying, oh, Ty's going to run next year in the Xfinity series. No, he isn't. He's coming to Cup next year. It's just a case of where is it going. If they can't find Kyle Busch a sponsor, Kyle Busch 60 fucking Cup wins and 2 championships and one of the greatest drivers ever. That's the flagship car at Joe Gibbs Racing. What is it stopping them to go and put him in the fucking 18 car? What is it stopping FedEx? If they could go and convince FedEx, oh, we have this dweeb that we only have to pay $100,000 because he's grandpa's kid. FedEx was driving around in 2005. They weren't even making races the first year they were in the Cup Series with the Gibbs team, while Tony was winning a championship. Christopher Bell. I mean, Toyota wants him, but the 20 car has been a revolving door since Tony left. The Joe Gibbs Racing in general has kind of been a revolving door outside of Kyle and Denny, since 2008. So what's it to them? I mean, let's really get into this thing. If you really want to talk about driving standard and thing like that, Do they want to get raced hard or do they not want to get? It's like boys have at it. Boys have had it, or boys have had it. Yeah, boys have had it, but boys have at it used to be the marketing slogan Robin Pemberton said and all.
Boys have at and have a good time.
Yeah, well, and I think there was a different change. There was a time and difference then. I don't know where it changed or what changed or who changed it. The culture from when Smoke came into the sport at the end of the 90s to when Kyle Busch came into sport 5 years later with like Denny Hamlin and like Martin Truex. Kevin Harvick came in around the same time as Tony. And then since then, there's been changes. Like every 5-10 years, there seems to be a shift. And now people just don't want to race anybody anymore. They're either going to hit you or nothing. So there is it because of the cars? Is it because of the way things are? Is it because certain drivers have a little more desperation than other people? I don't know. But personally, I didn't hate that race yesterday. That's one of the best races I've ever seen at that racetrack. And that car, for considering some of the issues they've had at flat tracks or relatively flat tracks, this car actually raced pretty well. It got better later in the race. They needed a lot of time. They needed to put down rubber to make the thing run a little better, to get a couple of grooves. It was very single file, typical. But I think as the race went on and urgency came along, I think the quality of this car relative to most racetracks came out. And it made it so that a track that wasn't generally suited to stock cars became suited to stock cars with this particular vehicle, which is a positive, which is something that Joey went and brought to great effect. And you saw that gamesmanship between him and Kyle Busch, Josh, in these restart choices and having to run that high line versus the low line, going and using traffic, going and doing the over-unders. That was great. That was a great battle between those two guys. And it's something that, you know, they need to show to people, the little kids. Instead of the bullshit they always show in the replays and crashing, they need to show that. Because that was good racing amongst two people that probably don't really care for each other.
Yeah, I agree there. And you talk about the racing dynamic between using the high line and the low line. I mean, tie it back into sim racing. I mean, using that experience from racing the iRacing Indy cars. A lot of times defending the position you take at Gateway, because I've raced there a lot in the Indy cars. You take the high line. Going into turn 1 and into turn 3, and you can really use a lot of momentum on the high side to defend your position and hold the person from passing you. And then if you have a lot of speed coming off of the corner, you can make up a lot of time using the low line to pass and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot of lane choice definitely there on Sunday with the Cup cars, which is interesting. And they said it was going to be hard to pass, and it kind of was hard to pass, but at least you were able to have kind of that difference in lane choice, and you had the ability to make up time that way. And when it counted, you were, when the time mattered and you counted, you were able to pass and make your moves and everything. And that's why you're able to see, a lot of 3-wide racing throughout the field, because, you had one car try to, use the low line, try to run the bottom. You had one guy on the top, one guy in the middle, and then they would come off the corner 3 wide, and then usually the guy on the top side have the momentum and keep going and maintain position down the back straight or the front straight of Gateway. So definitely a lot of that tactic going on throughout the field, and yeah, definitely contributed to probably a lot of the aggression too. With maybe it being a little bit hard to pass there, and people making suggestions on what they need to do. I mean, I think we talked about it before. I think maybe the thing they may need to do to improve passing is just to give a little bit more power. So maybe the guy trying to pass on the bottom can get back into the throttle and generate a little bit more power coming off of the corner. Because that's kind of the thing with, I guess, the horsepower limited cars is you have, when you try to make a pass and you need more power to be in that passing lane to come off the corner. The other guy on the high side can use the top and use that momentum to keep going and defend the position there. So yeah, that's definitely all part of it, and we saw all of that, and definitely interesting dynamic there, and certainly makes for an interesting product, and hopefully we continue to see it again as the Cup Series races in Gateway in the future.
And they're going to be there for a long time. They've been missing out, honestly, running at Gateway for a couple of decades, it looks like, because they showed up. Curtis Francois and company, the people at Worldwide Technologies. Uh, this race was, they said it was a sellout. I mean, whatever. I guess they sold all the seats, whatever, but not all the seats were filled. They had all kinds of entertainment, just like the IndyCar weekend that they have. They did a great job with this NASCAR weekend. They ain't leaving Gateway anytime soon. So for people that want to be mad about that race or whatever, they ain't leaving Gateway. That race is going to be there. Hopefully they leave it, I guess, right around here. I mean, considering it used to be a Dover Motorsports entity, and now Gateway is now in the spot where it used to be the Dover weekend. Kind of interesting how that worked out, but it's I think that's a good spot right after the Coca-Cola 600 to go to this racetrack. I think is a nice spot for them to have this race, so it'll be an interesting transition for sure, and a couple of great. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of wrecking, a lot of nonsense. Longest race ever last week in the 600, but it was a race that had good. It was a Charlotte race that was actually good, and Gateway was good. So a couple good weeks leading into Snoroma. Getting into the points uh, as of after this weekend at Gateway, Chase Elliott is still the overall points leader by 9 over Kyle Busch. His lead over Ross Chastain is 17 points. Ryan Blaney is fourth, 28 points behind, and Martin Truex is 37 points behind in fifth. Logano is sixth in points, 40 back. And so there's that. And then right now, in terms of playoff points, the leaders in playoff points are Chastain, Byron at 13, and then Logano at 11. Or actually, Denny Hamlin has 12, but he's 19th in points. So there you go. So he's actually second in playoff points at the moment, or third in playoff points at the moment, but he's 19th in overall standings. He's behind his one of his drivers there, Kurt Busch, and got some of these other people here in regards to the actual points or for the playoff points setup. Kevin Harvick actually fell out with his accident yesterday. Kevin Harvick fell out of the cutoff. He's 2 points behind Tyler Reddick. Eric Almirola, getting that huge run, gets himself in. And right now the battle is between Almirola, Reddick, Harvick points-wise, with Eric Jones, Austin Dillon about 20, 25 points behind. And then Daniel Suarez is way further back in 20th. So something to look at. Right now, 11 different winners so far this year. You look at the likes of Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex, who have run well a lot this year. I think it wouldn't be shocking if one or both of those guys win here in the near future. And then after that, you go and look at other guys who have run well at times this year, like Kevin Harvick, like Tyler Reddick, who hasn't won a Cup race yet, like Daniel Suarez, and then all of a sudden it becomes a likely possible scenario where you will need to win a race to even get into the playoff. And if you only have one win, then it becomes a points situation in its own right, which on that front, just to get into it before we get into the Xfinity and trucks, Austin Cindric is last in regards of those with a win, but he's only 3 points behind Kurt Busch, who's 17th in points. Cindric is like 18th in points. So, and Denny Hamlin is behind both of them, but he has 2 wins, so it doesn't matter. So the points battle within the battle is between Briscoe, who has like a 29-point lead on Kurt Busch, and then Austin Cindric. But we haven't gotten there just yet. We'll see if it gets there, but at the moment, it's getting there. We got good racing. Hopefully, Sonoma's actually good as well. Let's get into and actually before I go, just want to go before we get into that, go and give a shout out to Zane Smith making his Cup debut. Did a great job as well yesterday.
17th, yeah.
Yeah, to finish 17th in that car, beats the car owner who called him. He's goes and says, I was collecting Brad Keselowski diecasts years ago, and now he called me to drive his car, and he beat Brad Keselowski yesterday. So there is that. And he beat a bunch of other people too. You know, guys who have, you know, champions. So Keselowski, Elliott, and then guys who have won a ton of Cup races as well. And like, I'm going to go through here. But yeah, Harvick and Hamlin. I mean, Harvick's a champion, and then Hamlin. So he beat some really big guys yesterday. So it's a huge accomplishment for him. Likely he's going to be in a Cup car next year, I would think, considering he's part of the Ford development ladder. Get into the Xfinity series, Josh. AJ Allmendinger won the race, so that isn't shocking because it is. And 31 adjustments prior to green flag, going off four times during the event. Hey, it is what it is, I guess. AJ Allmendinger won yet another race. Finished second of the year, 8th road course win in the Xfinity Series. So that's pretty good. And 12th career victory in the Xfinity Series. So clutch performance there. Beats Myatt Snyder late, who was trying to sneak into the playoffs, a guy who's definitely needs a win, or else he's going to be on the outside looking in, playoff-wise. Austin Hill, who started second. Josh Berry finished fourth. Wow. Justin Allgaier fifth. Daniel Hemrick sixth. Ty Gibbs, even though he won a stage and led the most laps, got run over. It was funny. J.J. Ailey finished 8th. Noah Gragson 9th. Alex Labay finished 10th. There are other people who had stage points over the race. Scott Heckert actually got a 13th place finish. So credit to him there. Andy Lally's finished second in stage 2 for Alpha Prime. Connor Mozak finished third in stage 1 for Gibbs. Brett Moffitt, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the rough day for Sam Mayer, Herbst, Jeremy Clements, guys that really wanted to have an opportunity to make something happen. Anthony Alfredo qualified on pole, but got wrecked. He was involved in a wreck with Mozak, Chase, Pumpelly, and Bailey Curry. Sheldon Creed and Jeb Burton got into it. Sheldon Creed, who was on Baby Watch, had Kaz Grala on standby. He was trying to go and make points, but he led a lap, but wasn't able to pay it off. So Yeah, it's like AJ Allmendinger wins a road race, and it was a lot of rain and a lot of nonsense, but in the end, AJ Allmendinger puts himself strongly, gives himself some solid ground, 43-point lead on Gibbs, 44 on Gregson. So the regular season title is something I think he's aiming at. And the playoff point standings are really the four drivers. It's a 4-horse race for this championship. It's Allmendinger, Gibbs, Gregson, and Berry. And then after that, I think it's kind of hard to see anybody else. I mean, maybe Allgaier, but I have a hard time believing anybody else outside of that is really going to do anything. In recent weeks, Daniel Hemrick's been able to move himself up in points, so now he's solidly in the points in ninth. The gap to the cutoff at 12th place is what is it, 58 points? Or is that real? No, that can't be. Or from the leader, it's 58 points, but it's 45. No, it is 58
Yeah,
points.
58
Wow.
points from 12th
Yeah,
to
so
13th.
from 12th to 13th, yeah. So Anthony Alfredo did qualify on pole. He was in a position where he could have had an opportunity, maybe possibly get that first career win, lock himself into the playoff again, like he had a chance earlier this year. But unfortunately, wasn't able to. All the Our Motorsports cars are 13th, 14th, and 15th, and they're within 13 points of each other. So let's just say that they're all relatively consistent. That battle, I mean, that's an interesting battle from 13th all the way on through. There's 15 points from 13th to 17th, and you have Myatt Snyder, who was hoping to backdoor his way into the playoff with the one stage win he's had earlier this year. If he had won, he was 18th in points. That would have knocked Ryan Sieg out. As it stands right now, the guys who are in points wise would make it in. But that's really what we have to look at later in this Xfinity Series season, Josh. I mean, Allmendinger wins, issues between Gibbs and Gregson. Gibbs gets run over by what's his face? Why am I forgetting
Jesse
it?
Iwuji.
Well, Jesse Iwuji under yellow, which is kind of funny. Gagson goes and buys merch off of his website because of that. Gibbs has had kind of a rough go of it recently, but in the end, AJ Allmendinger wins on a road course, but it wasn't as straightforward as it seems.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Like you said, he went off course like 4 times and multiple pit stops and whatnot. But I mean, this is his 8th win in 20 starts on road courses in Xfinity, and so that's a pretty high winning percentage. And I think they said he had the most wins all time already for a road course driver in the Xfinity series. So as long as he continues to race in the series, he's going to end up being the record holder probably for a very long time in that category. But I mean, it's not a surprise that he won, but the fact that he was able to come back and do it is what the surprise is, and how he went, what he went through, and he won here in 2006 in Champ Cars and Kart. So he has experience winning here. So now he's won in an open wheel car, now in a stock car on this track, and he only led like 6 laps to win this race. So yeah, it was not the way that you want to win, but he's able to do it and make it count where it mattered the most there for sure. And yeah, it was a lot of surprising elements to this race, like you said, like Ty Gibbs getting wrecked under caution. Didn't take him out, but he just spun out throughout the race. Jesse Iwuji doing that contact with Gregson, Sheldon Creed having issues, and Sheldon Creed getting taken out of the race. A lot of things that happened. I mean, at one point they were talking about Jade Buford potentially winning because he was leading towards the very end of that race, which would have been shocking. He led like 4 laps, I think, towards the end of the race. And then, you talk about people like Andy Lally, who are only doing this, on a part-time basis. They're, just there for road course races, and that's it. And Andy Lally had a chance, like he was like running in second, I think, had an opportunity there. JJ Elliott, somebody that we never talked about in this series and haven't talked about in a long time period in NASCAR, finished in the top 10 here in 8th, running for Carl Long. So yeah, a lot of things that happened in this race that were topsy turvy and things like that. You had Alex Labbe, who talked about him previewing this race, finishing 10th there. Myatt Snyder has been pretty good overall this year, but got a second place finish. And he's not really that great of a driver, so being able to finish second at a road course like Portland certainly is pretty commendable, I think. And yeah, definitely a lot of names here that we don't normally see in the top 20. Again, Scott Heckert, I mean, who's that? He finished in 13th for BJ McLeod. What's his name? Joe Graff finished in 21st, so better than whatever place they would have ran. Matt Jaskell finished in 18th. So a lot of these guys that don't normally see good finishes end up coming away with at least a decent finish in this race.
It's an opportunity when it rains, and especially in its Xfinity, you're liable to see some interesting results, and that's what we saw on Saturday afternoon at Portland International Raceway. First time NASCAR, this Big 3 series, has been back since the year 2000 there with the Truck Series. So definitely an interesting one. Plenty of argy-bargy that went on there. In the Truck Series, though, a little more straightforward. Corey Heim wins his second race of the year, and he goes and wins the first of the Triple Truck Challenge or whatever. So that's he won the pole. It was Gibbs. I mean Joe. The Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks were up there. Heim and Chandler Smith led 60 of the 165 laps. Ben Rhodes, a defending series champion, led 43 laps. So obviously it was a Toyota benefit. Rhodes won one stage. Chandler Smith won the other one stage two. Chandler Smith won stage one. Rhodes won stage two. Imes finished second in stage one. But he goes and gets the W. John Hunter finished third in stage one, but wrecked during the second stage early. Unfortunately for him, there was 3 trucks that actually failed to go. Wow. So there is that. In regards to the finish, Heim, Eckes, Chandler Smith, Stuart Friesen, Johnny Sauter, top 5, so all Toyotas. DeBurrito, Rouse, who was up there late, Ben Rhodes, Zane Smith, and Chase Purdy gets a top 10 finish. Rajah Caruth finished 11th, driving for Spire in the number 7 truck. Matt Crafton finished 12th. I guess that's really about it. I mean, one of the stories that came from the race was the wreck that saw Carson Hocevar get run into, go and hit the wall, and then Tyler Hill nailed him, and he got hurt. There's still no word, at least from what I saw last time I was on social media, about Carson Hocevar and his whereabouts in regards to this weekend's race at Snoroma. But for Corey Heim, of course, he's not running every race, so it really doesn't affect the point standings that way. The owner point standings it affects because they have 2 wins, so they'll be in the playoff either way. Ben Rhodes is up by 17 points on Chandler Smith, 21 points on Zane Smith, and those are the top 3 guys. John Hunter Nemechek, even with the accident and the poor finish, is only 22 points back in fourth. Stuart Friesen is 24 points back of the lead in fifth. So points are very tight. Eckes is only 34 points back. In regards to stage wins, I mean, the top five in points have 17 stage wins so far this year, along with 7 overall race wins in 11 starts. Corey Heim has 2 outside of that group, and then you have, William Byron won a race, and Ross Chastain won at Charlotte. So 2 Cup guys who are competing for the Cup Series championship, and then you have Corey Heim, and then you have the guys that are in the top 5 in points. So the cutoff battle for the top 10 is somewhat interesting. Derek Kraus, he's 44 points behind Grant Enfinger, but you have him and Tanner Gray, Dee Burrito, Tyler Ankrum, who have all run every race this year. Purdy, because he DNQ'd, I'm not sure if he somehow or another pulled one out of his ass, if he would be able to backdoor his way into the playoff. But that's really the battle. There's 14 for 10, and 5 spots are already locked in. 6 if you consider the 51 in regards to the owner points. But first of the 3 races in the Triple Truck Challenge, won by Corey Heim. Got into a lot of stuff with Ty Gibbs last year while they were racing together in the ARCA series, but now the Corey Heim goes and gets a second win of his career and likely solidifies himself as a guy who's going to be in a Kyle Busch Motorsports vehicle next year.
Yeah, for sure. And, that's an interesting point you make there with the 51 is that this is a car that can still win races no matter what, who's in the car, whether it's Kyle Busch or a development driver, and or the 18 or the 5th, even the 4, talking about the whole stable for Kyle Busch Motorsports. And all 3 of those cars are capable of winning races with the right driver. And now Corey Heim gets a second career win at Gateway or at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and a lot of action there that happened. Of course, teammate, like you said, John Hunter Nemechek, tried to use a little bit too much curbing in turn 3 and 4 and crashed out of the race there. They're the guys that stood out to me in this one. Johnny Sauter finished 5th. He's hasn't really had a great season per se, but you get a 5th place finish at a series that you're not really doing all that well in. I guess it's better than nothing. Raja Karuth Truck Series debut takes it home in 11th for Spire Motorsports. Chase Purdy running the 61 for Hattori Racing in 10th place. Matt DiBenedetto, the Cup veteran, in 6th place. So a lot of good finishers here in this race here, and definitely the championship. Ben Rhodes still in it as the leader. Chandler Smith is only 17 points back, so it's still pretty tight, I feel like, for the championship battle. But of course, like you said, the middle positions from 6th through even 2nd, I think, are very up for grabs here. As we continue forward and move on to the playoffs, and it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. And like you said, for Carson Hocevar, hopefully he's okay and everything, and doesn't have an issue with his injuries or whatever. I think they said he may have an issue with his ankle or something. So hopefully he's able to rest up going into the next race or two, and hopefully he's able to race. Especially they said they were going to Sonoma for the Truck Series, so it's gonna be a lot of work. Especially if he decides to use the clutch and the brake, it's gonna be a lot of footwork involved. So hopefully they able to heal him up if they can before going into next weekend.
And it's a big deal because with Hocevar, he's become kind of a person that everyone's discussing in regards to his whereabouts and what he's been doing and getting so close to winning races. And I mean, Hocevar's 8th in points. He has a 20-point gap on Matt Crafton, and 26 on Grant Enfinger in 10th, 18 points behind Ty Majeski in 7th. So he's got a little bit of a cushion, but, you know, the way things can go on road courses, the way the schedule lies, it could kind of get crazy for him. You have Sonoma here this coming weekend. Then the following week, they're going to race at Knoxville on the dirt. And then they'll be racing Nashville Super Speedway. So this is a busy part of the schedule. This 8 races, 8 weeks in a row racing. And then it'll start becoming very spare. The truck schedule after this, after the Nashville race, will be very on and off. Many weeks off at times, 3 weeks between races. You know, there'll be off weeks between the cutoff race and the final race kind of deal. So interesting scheduling the NASCAR people have done here in this spot. But how Carson Hocevar is able to respond here. I went Brooklyn for Guppy throwing the Emerald. Guppy Troop, the legend, going and bowling with his son in the King of the Lanes. Royal Family Edition. Going and bowling. He's in his 70s. Got them sunglasses limping along, throwing that IQ Emerald. It's classic. Trying to go. We'll see if it'll hold. Oh, it did hold, but he chopped it. That's tough. See if Kyle can actually come through and help him out there. But the Barnes fam is looking like they're going to have a good shot to win this one. Anyway, get through all the NASCAR stuff. So getting IndyCar. Will Power wins the 100th race for Chevrolet since they returned to IndyCar competition in 2012 at the Chevy Detroit Grand Prix. So that was a strong run for him. Avenges his loss from 2021 when he had the race won, and then they red flagged the race, and then he couldn't restart. So that was a tough pill for him to swallow. After this weekend, so they have these 3 consecutive races: Indianapolis, Belle Isle, and then next race we're going to discuss later. And then there'll be a gap of time, and then there'll be a very busy period of the season starts around Toronto. There's a lot of Mid-Ohio, and then once Toronto comes along, they're going to be racing a lot there to end out the season. So, Will Power goes and gets the win. Right, 2022. Yeah, so Will Power gets the win over Alexander Rossi. Scott Dixon finishes 3rd. Joseph Newgarden started on pole but finished 4th. Pato O'Ward finished 5th. Palou, Ericsson, Herta, Pagano, Rosenquist round out your top 10. So 3 Chip Ganassi cars in the top 7. You have Arrow McLaren, of course, represented with both their cars in the top 10, and then 2 Penske cars up there as well. But for Will Power, he goes and gets another victory at Detroit, the last one at Belle Isle before they go back to the city streets of Detroit, and where they used to race back in the early 90s. And Formula One also raced there as well. So that'll be something to see next year. Very simple looking circuit. I don't know what what it really looks like in the grand scheme of things for the cars until next year, but it'll probably get some video and stuff out for that. But yeah, last race at Belle Isle, and it was actually pretty interesting. There was a lot of action, a lot of passing, but Will Power and Penske strategy helped them go and get the W there, a big W to go and retake the points lead as they go on a Road America.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really interesting race. Start out I guess, or in the era of racing here at Belle Isle. And Will Power, like you said, last year should have won that race. It led to the, I guess, rising of Marcus Ericsson. We talked about him last week winning the Indy 500, and now Will Power closes the book on Belle Isle getting a win. Wasn't easy though, of course. You had to survive on the strategy to be able to do it. Rossi, had a lot of fresh tires and only finished 1 second back. And if he had just a little bit more time, would have passed him there if he had an extra lap to be able to go and win that race. So Will Power finished on 2-stop strategy. He was able to make it work. Think he stood out, or didn't he start on the reds and then they went to the blacks, if I'm not mistaken? Phil, did he start?
What was that?
Did Will Power, did he start out on the reds and then go out onto the blacks?
He finished on the reds. He did the strategy that Joseph Newgarden did last year.
Now recording.
Okay, so yeah, so he did the reds. Power did the reds at the end. Newgarden did that last year, which is why Power was able to pass him, but then Power's car didn't start, which in turn led to Ericsson's victory.
Well, that was last year, but I'm talking about...
and then this year Power went primes for the first 2 segments and went on the option reds in the final segment, while Alexander Rossi, I think, went reds to primes for the last 2 segments, and which helped him in his chase to possibly go and get that victory.
Yeah, so he had that opportunity. Yeah, that's what led to the close finish, of course. And Will Power was able to hold it down and win the race there. So good driving by Will Power. And Alexander Rossi, he had the contract extension from McLaren, or getting a new contract from McLaren this past weekend. So now he doesn't have to worry about having to get a new contract or anything like that. No, he can just go and drive and not worry about it. Now we kind of starting to see the Alexander Rossi of old from 2018, 2019, where he was super aggressive and being able to put the car where he wanted to put it and pass people. And came up 1 position short of getting his first win since that era in 2019. So he could end up winning a race here pretty soon if he gets the right opportunity.
It'll be 2 years if he doesn't win, or 3. It's 2019, now. So it'll be 3 years if he doesn't win on Sunday since his last win. So yeah, I mean, but it's true what you say about Rossi. He looks like a different guy here the last couple of weeks. He looks like the guy that was the leader of Andretti Autosport, one of the best drivers in the series, someone who, when you put him on the most difficult circuits that America has to offer, especially permanent road circuits, there was really nobody that could stop him. And now he's back, he's motivated, and he's a sneaky contender as we end out the rest of this season, because he has nothing to lose. He knows he's going to a new team. He knows his car is already spoken for, but he also wants to get that championship. He's been there, and I know Napa has been one of his big supporters. He wants to get Napa a championship. I'm not sure what that deal is, if he's going to bring it over to Arrow McLaren SP or not.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting look, though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but I think they'll just be able, considering how bad all of Chase Elliott's paint schemes are, I think they could figure out a way to make it work with that orange, the papaya orange and all that. So, if he is still working with Napa, but that was a great run by him, and it was a great battle between him and Power. It could have been really, really interesting if it had gotten a little bit further there. But just to get back into it, yeah. Power, Rossi, Dixon, Newgarden, Award were your top five, and the points going into this weekend's race at Road America have Will Power leading by 3 over Marcus Ericsson, the Indy 500 champion. Pato Award is 12 points back of Power in third. Defending series champion Alex Palou is fourth. He is 14 points behind Will Power. So those are the top four, very tightly packed. Two-time series champion Joseph Newgarden is fifth. Six-time series champion Scott Dixon is in sixth. Alexander Rossi makes up the next group there in seventh. 2 points ahead of Simon Pagenaud. Rosenquist and McLaughlin make up the top 10. Herta is 11th. You know, the other people there that have had their moments this year, you have Connor Daly 12th, VK 13th, Grosjean 14th, and so on. Malukas had a good weekend, and then it kind of went away there. But we'll see what they do at Road America.
Yeah, we'll see what they do there. And one thing you want to talk about with the contract thing with Rossi is there were rumors of somebody from Ganassi going over to McLaren in the seat that Rossi's going to take up now. And they said it was going to, people were talking about Alex Palou jumping over to McLaren, and that's not a good move. And why would the champion leave his team and go to another team that's performing worse than the Ganassi organization right now?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, whoever that person was, I think I have a general idea who it was, and she's not exactly known for her great reporting, and most people don't care for her. But putting it out there for clickbait articles is part of the reason why she wasn't even in the NASCAR media center for a year. And Alex Palou, I have a hard time believing Chip Ganassi, he's a guy who says, I like winners. Why are you going to get rid of a guy who's won you races and won you a championship? I don't see the value there. I mean, I don't think Dixon's ever is retiring anytime soon. If or until there's like a real prototype program for Ganassi to actually work with, where he wants a guy that'll go and carry said program with the LMDH or all that crap. But as of now, that's not the case. He's going to keep on running that IndyCar. And Alex Palou has been the best teammate he's had since Dario Franchitti. And so based on that and that alone, they don't have a reason to get rid of him. So why would he leave? They have full sponsorship from the series sponsor, no less. So why would he leave? It makes no sense. It's kind of an illogical move. Now, if you're going to say Rinus VK may end up at McLaren, there's a lot more validity to it. He's a Chevy. He's been driving Chevy since he got to IndyCar Series. He's driving for a smaller program. In regards to a previous lead driver at that team moving on to a bigger team, we know what's happened to Joseph Newgarden. Of course, he hasn't been anywhere near as prolific, Rinus VK, as Joseph Newgarden was, but Rinus VK is considered one of the best young talents in the sport, and he's very, very young. So you put him in a McLaren program, thinking under the pretense that Pato O'Ward might go get called to Formula One. You put him with Alexander Rossi. Third car kind of opens up. you have a pretty solid team there, I would say, if that were to come to pass. But that's something to see. But it's definitely not going to be Alex Palou unless Taylor Kyle is going to be opening a checkbook or something. Because the fact of the matter is, Alex Palou's been a Honda guy for a long time too, going back to Super Formula. So I have a hard time believing, based on that he would go and move across in that sense. But we will see how that all goes. We'll get into the roundup here for last week. The Chevy Sports Car Classic took place at Detroit. And speaking of Chip Ganassi Racing, the 0-1 car, Sebastian Bourdais and Renger van der Zande were the winners in the 0-1 Cadillac. And, Jeff Olson reported. Look at that. So that was a big win for them. 9th win for Sebastian Bourdais in the prototypes, after winning the pole, and we're 200, 8 time, and then we're rolling 6 days. It's close to 250. Yeah, look at that. So the Cadillac, the 0-1 team, wins. The full results of the they won by the race. Was it? Aren't they showing the time? Yeah. By 0.4 of a second over Tom Blomqvist and Oliver Jarvis. Earl Bamba and Alex Lynn finished third. So the Ganassi crew finishes 1-3. The Philippe Albuquerque, Ricky Taylor, Acura, Konica Minolta, Acura finishes 4th. The 5 with Tristan Vautier, Richard Westbrook finishes 6th. Pippo Durrani, Olivier Pla in their first race together in the Wheel and Engineering Cadillac finished last in category, in 6th, after starting 5th. So, and in GTD, the Vassar Sullivan team called Kyle Kirkwood in. He racing with an injury, qualified on pole. They win the race, finish 7th overall. Him and Ben Barnicoat in the Lexus win GTD over Ross Gunn, Roman DeAngelis, DeHarder Racing Aston, and then Brian Sellers, Madison Snow in the Paul Miller Racing BMW. There at Detroit. I'm going to go fast. And get through all of that. Trying to go and make sure I got all the details there. We'll get 6 hours at the Glen is coming up here in a few weeks' time. We'll get into more details after that, because that'll be all the categories will be racing there in the 6 hours at the Glen in a few weeks. In regards to, I'm going to get into Moto 2 first, because MotoGP had a lot of craziness. The Moto 2 race at Barcelona sees Celestino Vietti get yet another win in this season over Aaron Canet and Augusto Fernandez. As we see Kimberly Pressler in pink. It's always great. Jake Dixon 4th. Marcel Schroeder 5th. Pedro Acosta, coming off of his first win at Mugello last week, finished 6th. And scroll through the no Americans. Sean Dillon Kelly finished 21st. Joe Roberts and Cameron Bobier both crashed early in the race, so unfortunate for both of them. Next race will be in the Sachsenring in a couple weeks' time. Standings, Vietti is now 16 points ahead of Iagura after his Vietti's third win of the year and fifth podium. Canet is 24 points back overall in third. Roberts, even with his accident, first non-point score of the season, is still sixth in points. He's 10 points out of fourth. Beaubier is 13th. So we'll see what happens when it comes to that. The Catalunya GP for MotoGP sees Fabio Quartararo win over the Pramac Ducati duo Jorge Martin and Johan Zarco. Joan Mir finished fourth. Alex Espargaro didn't finish the race. He ran and he was celebrating, and he forgot or didn't know that it was that he still had a lap to go and backed off and lost 3 positions on the racetrack. And by the time he realized that, he lost 6th place or 5th place to Luca Marini, was able to recover and get 1 position back. But that was a pretty big blunder on his part. A lot of accidents in yesterday's race. Dovizioso or Fabio Di Gianantonio and his teammate Enea Bastianini, both had accidents. Bezzecchi, Pecco Bagnaia crashed after getting run into by Taka Nakagami, who ran into the back of Pecco Bagnaia's bike, rear wheel with his head. Alex Rins was taken out in that accident as well. So it was a pretty brutal race, to say the least. The standings going into the next race in Germany sees Fabio Quartararo nearly up a full race on Alex Espargaro. He is 22 points ahead of Alex Espargaro. Bastianini, who has won 3 Grand Prix this year, which is the best right now. He has 3 wins and a whole lot of nothing outside of that. Is third. Johan Zarco, fourth. Pecco Bagnaia is fifth. Go from MotoGP, Moto2 to Formula E, which saw Van Dorn there. Sees Mitch Evans win over Jean-Eric Verne and Eduardo Mortara. Antonio Felix da Costa finishes 4th, and Stoffel Van Dorn finishes 5th. Andretti Autosport's Jake Dennis finishes 6th. Oliver Askew finishes 13th for Andretti Autosport. And then the Mahindra team, DNF for Oliver Rowland on lap 1. Alexander Sims finishes 15th. So brutal there. Defending champion Nick DeVries fell out of the race at lap 29. So brutal there. Now their next race will be in Marrakesh in Formula E. The point standings going into that race, see Van Dorn up by 5 over Jean-Eric Verne, who's going for, I think, a 3rd title. Eduardo Mortara 7 points back of Van Dorn in 3rd. Mitch Evans is 12 points back. So battle is amongst those 4 at the moment. Robin Friends well back in 5th. Nick DeVries 6th. In basically a battle between himself, Lauder, Verline, Degrassi, Da Costa from 6th to 10th. Going in the next race, which will be in a month's time, because a lot of these guys are running Le Mans, and then they're running 6 hours at the Glen. So they'll be busy before the next Formula E race. WRC, they ran Rally Italy this past weekend, and we saw Tanak win in his Hyundai over Craig Breen and Danny Sordo. Those are your top three finishers overall. And then you had Pierre-Louis Loubet, Kalle Rovanperä, who's been very strong so far this year, round out your top five. The next next rally will be in Kenya in a few weeks' time. The standings going into that, Kalle Rovanperä has a 55-point lead on Thierry Neuville and 57 or 58 on Tanak, who has one. What is it? He has one win, a second, and then two other kind of throwaway points finish. So, I mean, the points battle behind Rovanperä is somewhat tight, but Rovanperä still has a big points lead. Still many rallies to go. There's still 8 rallies to go in the season. So, can't really go and call it by any stretch of imagination. It's only June. Formula 2 and Formula 3 will be running in Baku this coming weekend. Just get into the points briefly with those series. Formula 2, the standings going into Baku, see Felipe Drogovic up by 31 points over Teo Pocher. And it's really amongst those two guys, because after that, there's a huge battle. Jehan Daruvala, with 53 points, is only 15 points ahead of Liam Lawson, Logan Sargent, who are tied for 8th in points. So there's a battle for the championship. Drogovic, who's won multiple races so far this year, and then Pocher. And then you have Daruvala and everybody else, really. In Formula 3, you have Victor Martins. It's much tighter. Jack Crawford, the American's only 10 points back of Roman. Well, that's, they say, for F2, F3. It showed F2, F3. I don't know. I thought it said F2. Maybe it's only F2. And it says F. Yeah, I think it's F2. All right. Well, yeah. So my fault. You have Bierman, Juan Manuel Correa, Kalen Patrick. So get into that when the British Grand Prix comes around. World Superbikes this week at Misano. There were a lot of injuries going on in regards to World Superbikes recently at Portugal at Estoril. Leon Haslam's not going to be racing. You got me. I don't know what that is. Raskatlioko, top speed advantage. So, as it stands going into this weekend at Misano, yeah. Alvaro Bautista is up by 17 points on Johnny Ray. Toprak Raskatlioko, the defending world champion, is 52 points back in third. And it's really a battle amongst those three guys. Locatelli is fourth. Iker Lackawanna is fifth on the Honda. Michael Ruben Rinaldi sixth. Garrett Gerloff, who has struggled this year and has had issues with injuries, is in 12th. Then you have said those two, and then you have 24 Hours of Le Mans. So, Josh, I can bring you back in here Just going to go and bring out bring up the entry list for the, because it was from earlier this year anyway. There's going to be 5 cars in the hypercar category, 2 Toyotas, the number 7 with Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi, Jose Maria Lopez, then number 8 with Sebastian Buemi, Brendan Hartley, and Ryo Hirakawa. The Alpine Elf Matmut number 36, Gibson powered car with Andre Negrão, Mathieu Vaxivière, and Nicolas Lapierre. And then the Glickenhaus cars, which I guess the bold ones, gotta say something bold, are also full season competitors. So yeah, those are the 4. The number 708 Glickenhaus car of Olivier Pla, Romain Dumas, Pippo Durrani. And then the 709 with Richard Westbrook, Ryan Briscoe, and Frank Malieu will be the 5 prototypes in the main category. The LMP2 category will see multi-time World Rally champion Sebastian Ogier make his Le Mans debut in the number 1 Richard Mille car. The number 5 Team Penske car will make their last race of this season before they move towards preparation for the Porsche LMDH or DP, whatever the hell they're. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, LMDP.
With Felipe Nasr, Dane Cameron, and Emmanuel Collard. You have other. I'm trying to go look for other familiar names. I mean, the Orleans Prema team, which has Robert Kubica and Louis Delatraz. Vector Sport has Sebastian Bourdais and Nico Muller. TDS Racing was, I'm trying to remember what team it was that ran in the main prototype category, as Matthias Bache. The United Autosports team has Phil Hansen, Philippe Albuquerque, Will Owen in the 22. Then Josh Pearson's one of the youngest guys out there, along with Oliver Jarvis, Alex Lynn in the 23. Nielsen Racing, Rodrigo Salles, Matt Bell, and Ben Hanley. Ed Jones, former IndyCar driver. Jonathan Aberdeen, strong sports car racer. Oliver Rasmussen in the Jota Sport, number 28. Memo Rojas, former DP champion back in the day, driving for the Duquesne, number 30 team. Sean Galale, Rene Rast, Robin Frines for WRT, one of the stronger combinations in this category. Mirko Bartolotti, Dries Vanthoor in the other WRT. Esteban Gutierrez, Alex Brundle in the number 34 car. Ye Yafei, Ricky Taylor in the number 37. Roberto Gonzalez, Antonio Felix da Costa, Will Stevens in number 38. Jota Sport Car, the second Jota Sport Car. Norman Nato, former Formula E driver, Ferdinand Habsburg, and former GT driver, Rui Andrade. David Heimeyer Hansen, former GTD driver here in America, and Pietro Fittipaldi in the number 43. Bent Viscal, Tristan Vautier in the number 44. Stephen Thomas, the American, driving for number 45 Algarve team, with Rennie Binder, who made a couple of IndyCar starts. Sophia Florsch, Jack Aiken, and John Falb in the number 47. Algarve car, Patrick Pilet, former Porsche factory driver, in the number 48. Julian Canal, Nicola Yamin, Jean-Pierre Oitert in the number 65 for Olivier Panis' group. And, I don't know who those guys are. In GTD Pro, we'll see 7 cars, 3 Ferraris, 2 Porsches, and 2 Corvettes. Alexander Paraguidi, James Collado, Daniel Serra in the number 51 AF Corsa Ferrari. Number 52, Ferrari, Miguel Molina, Antonio Fuoco, and David Rigon. The Corvettes is Antonio Garcia, Jordan Taylor, Nicky Katzberg. That's the car that runs in the US in the GTD Pro category. And then the Nick Tandy, Tommy Milner, Alex Sims, 64 is the full season competitor. Number 74, Riley Motorsports Ferrari will have Sam Bird, former factory Ferrari driver, Shane Van Gisbergen, the Australian V8 Supercar champion, and Felipe Fraga. And then the Porsche team, Jimmy Bruni, Richard Leitz, Frederick Makowicki in the 91, Kevin Estre, Michael Christensen, Lawrence Vantor in that car. So now 23 cars in the AM category, GT AM. You have Tony Vilander in a 21 AF Corsa Ferrari. The TF Sport Aston sees Marco Sorensen and Ben Keating. Let's see who else is there. Nick Cassidy, Formula E driver in the AF Corsa number 54 Ferrari. American Brendan Uribe driving the Project 1 Porsche number 56 with Ben Barnacourt, who just won last week at Detroit. Mikkel Jensen in the Kessel Racing Ferrari number 57. Alessandro Balzan in the Iron Lynx Ferrari number 60. Never even heard of that guy. Vincent Abril, AF Corsa Ferrari. Ringer Van de Zanda, Mark Vami, Jason Hart in a JMW Ferrari number 66. Gabriel Aubry races here in the States in the Spirit of Race 71 Ferrari. Pierre Eret, number 75 Ferrari. Dempsey Proton Porsche with Christian Reed, Harry Tinknell, and Sebastian Prio. The number 79 WeatherTech Porsche will have Cooper McNeil, Julian Andlauer, and Thomas Merrill. Giancarlo Fisichella and Richard Highstand in the number 80 Ferrari. Rahel Frey, Sarah Bovey, and Michelle Gadding in the Iron Dames number 85 Ferrari. Then Patrick Lindsay, Jan Halen, Dempsey Proton, Porsche number 88. Matt Campbell, Zach Robichon, Michael Fassbender, number 93 Proton Porsche. Paul Dallalana, Nicky Team in the Northwest AMR Aston. Yeah, that is an unfortunate name there. So there is the field of the people that at least I know. So that'll be going on this weekend. Probably going to be a Toyota benefit. But the real battles will be in the LMP2 and GTD categories. To see who goes and makes it through that whole entire field. So I'm going to go and throw to you, Josh, in regards to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix this weekend. The status quo saw Ferrari give away the Monaco Grand Prix to Checo Perez, but in the end, Ferrari had great pace in qualifying. Azerbaijan is a track where top speed matters a lot, which Red Bull has seemingly had in certain areas. So can Ferrari respond here in this spot? Can Charles Leclerc put it on pole and actually close the deal? Or are we looking at yet another Max Verstappen benefit like last year's race was supposed to be before he blew a tire and made it really crazy? Or maybe Mercedes or some other team can actually go and do something in this spot relative to what they've been doing.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting, and I think the big key there is top speed. Like you said, the Red Bulls last year should have won this race with Verstappen, and They, of course, blew the tire and everything. And top speed, they've had a lot of it this year. I mean, go back to Miami where they were 6 miles an hour or faster on the straights compared to the Ferraris, which is, a huge gap in speed difference. And, being able to run that speed around the racetrack is going to be interesting, and especially at a place like uh, Baku, that's very, very fast along the straights, and you're going to need a lot of top end speed. It seems like the Red Bulls are really good in that department, so I would expect Red Bull to at least have the pace to be able to handle that. And I don't know. I think they should be able to lead all the sessions if they're able to rely on top speed, of course. But Ferrari may be able to close the gap in the handling areas, in the braking zones and whatnot around this racetrack and around some of the more technical parts. So we'll have to see. But I think Red Bull. This is probably the race where I would favor Red Bull for sure. Any other teams, the same thing. I think you're going to need a lot of speed around this racetrack, and we haven't really seen any pace really from any of the other teams. I haven't really seen much from Mercedes so far. They've made some improvements, but we have yet to see kind of the fruits of their labor per se. They have really, I mean, haven't really been all too competitive, especially Lewis Hamilton. So we'll see what happens there and everything. I think if Mercedes is able to kind of close the gap to Red Bull and Ferrari, they're going to have to bring a lot of pace to this weekend, and we'll have to see what happens there. I think for Ferrari, they have to be able to be better than Red Bull, and certainly they need to be able to put Charles Leclerc in a position where they won't make a mistake, and they also need to be able to factor in that if they do make a mistake, they can at least not lose the lead, which should be key, and not be overtaken on pit strategy or anything like that. So they probably shouldn't undercut Ferrari or Red Bull unless they feel like they need to. It's going to be tough because if Red Bull comes out with blistering pace around this track, then around the circuit, then I think it's going to be a tough go to be able to um, get them on strategy, especially an undercut. I think maybe an overcut strategy. They can preserve the car, let Red Bull wear their tires out and their equipment out faster, and maybe Red Bull being a faster car, or whatever, they have to use up the tires more, the brakes more potentially. In the corners to stop the car. Maybe thinking about that too much, but the possibility of Ferrari undercutting, I think, is probably not in the cards this weekend. I feel like maybe they would have to do an overcut strategy or something, just kind of thinking out loud there, I guess. But you'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, definitely would pick Verstappen to win this weekend. I think this track favors him a lot more than the Ferraris and Charles Leclerc. So we'll see. And think for the rest of the field, it's gonna be interesting midfield battle. With McLaren, with Lando Norris, Alpine, of course, with Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon. Haas, I mean, talked about them. Feel like maybe they can at least have a seat at the table in the midfield conversation for sure. The not Al well, Alpine, we already talked about the AlphaTauris, of course, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda. Can they make any headway in that midway category? We'll have to see. But and of course, there's other cars, of course, Williams and
Alfa Romeo
Alfa
with
Romeo as
Valtteri
well.
Bottas.
Yeah. So Valtteri Bottas could make some headway, of course, in that area of the point standings. But we'll have to see what happens. But I think it's going to be a lot of action on this race this weekend. Certainly, high speed track. We've seen it every year almost. Some type of issue. So whether Lewis Hamilton spinning out, Max Verstappen blowing out a tire, other teams blowing out tires, teammates crashing each other like Max and Daniel Ricciardo did back in 2018. So there could be a lot of things happening. Alonso driving it back on two wheels in 2018. A lot of things can happen in this race. So expect this race to have a lot of craziness for sure.
Yeah, it's another street race, and it's a little more challenging, a lot more speed, top end, more terminal velocity relative to, of course, Monaco. They'll have the back-to-back here with Azerbaijan and then Montreal, so that'll play a role as well. I think there might be a little bit of conservation in some cases. Maybe there might be some interesting retirements because they're trying to save some equipment. But, I mean, I think it's a Red Bull race. Like Josh said, more than likely it'll be Verstappen because Checo beat him at Monaco. But who knows? Maybe Checo has the momentum. He's only 15 points behind. That would be an interesting dynamic. I kind of want to see that because the last time they did it, they basically screwed Mark Webber over. But they've already given Checo a 2-year extension, so it's an interesting dichotomy they have there. What will Ferrari do? What can somebody like Carlos Sainz do, who still hasn't won his first race yet? What is the McLaren deal? Can Daniel Ricciardo show up? Will he do anything? The Mercedes team with the porpoising, with the roughness of some of the areas on that racetrack, how will that exacerbate the handling on their car? Will they be able to compete? Getting to one of Lewis's best racetracks, one of his historically best racetracks in Montreal here next week, the place where he won his first Formula One Grand Prix 15 years ago. Can they give him something to work with leading into that race? George Russell has done a great job so far this year, finishing in the top 5 of every race this year. Can he continue that trend here in this spot? And then some of the other people that could possibly stand out, like the likes of Bottas, maybe Kevin Magnussen, some of them other people. That's a goal. That's a goal for Colorado. There, it's 4-3. That is a goal. Make it 4-3. 11:02 to go in the third period. Trying to go and get the sweep here and get to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in 21 years. I was a young buck back then. Sorry, you're going and got simulcasting going on here. I was watching the bowling, which saw the Barnes family, Chris Barnes and his son Ryan, who's a bowler for Wichita State, currently win over the Troops. Put it back on the hockey, and Colorado trying to get a 4-game sweep. Gabriel Landeskog, he just smashed his stick. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. There's your anger. There's a little bit of anger. Get 2 more. Let's put them away. That's what I'm saying. But I figure Max Verstappen's going to win this weekend too, and it won't be that big of a battle at all. Let's move to IndyCars, though. I think it'll be a little more interesting in the IndyCar race at Road America. I mean, one of the toughest circuits in the world. It's beautiful track, challenges every aspect of driver, car, team. It's a long race, over 4 miles for 1 lap. There's no, just the atmosphere alone, just for fans, is supposedly really great. It's one of the bucket list places I want to go to in my racing fandom. But this race, it's a key component in the IndyCar calendar at the moment. Trying to go and set the points here as they move towards the second half of the season, really. When you look at the current situation points-wise, the Sancio Grand Prix at Road America, they'll be there this weekend. Practice, they'll run 1 practice in the afternoon on Friday. They'll have a practice in the morning on Saturday, and then they'll qualify Saturday mid-afternoon with a 30-minute post-qualifying practice a couple hours after that. So it's a challenging racetrack, Josh, and it's one that if you can win at Road America, you are one of the best. IndyCar winning at that racetrack, you have to earn it. And I mean, they haven't even posted on Racing Reference. They need somebody to work there. Will they pay me? I'd go and post crap up in there. In regards to the IndyCar results over the years, the Andretti's, of course, have done great there. Was it 3, 4, 5, 6 wins for the Andretti family there in their time? Got Emerson Fittipaldi won there 3 times, and then I thought for a second, yeah, Christian Fittipaldi actually won there too. Wow. So yeah, Fittipaldi's have done well there too. Paul Tracy, amongst others, and in more recent times, Bourdais there, AJ Allmendinger talking about back in 2006 when he won at Portland, in a Champ Car. He also won at Road America. And in recent times, since IndyCar returned, Power won there, coming off of his win at Detroit. Dixon has won there twice. Joseph Newgarden, Alexander Rossi, Felix Rosenqvist won his one and only race there in 2020, in the second of the 2 races they held there in 2020. And then Alex Palou is the defending race winner at Road America. So, I mean, I guess we go at it in this sense, when it comes to the standings right now and the points. I mean, Pat O'Ward, I'm trying to go back here in regards to IndyCar. I'm trying to go through who's won so far this year. I mean, Pato has a win at Barber. Newgarden has 2 wins. McLaughlin has 1, but has basically fallen off since Fort Worth. Colton Herta won Indy GP, but has had a couple of rough outings since then. Marcus Ericsson, of course, wins the 500. But you look at 2 people, I think, I don't know about you, Josh, but I feel like it's a Ganassi time, and it's not Marcus Ericsson. I think it's whether it's Scott Dixon or Alex Palou. I think this is a spot where they go and get a win and put themselves right smack dab into the points championship. I don't know what you're thinking, Josh, but I think those are who I would look at personally. I mean, you can give me your thoughts for sure, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good thought there, especially with Alex Palou. I mean, he won this race a year ago, taking advantage of Joseph Newgarden's misfortunes, being able to go out and win this race. And I think him and Scott Dixon both have a good chance of winning here. They both finished top 5 in this race a year ago, and one winning and Alex winning and Scott Dixon finishing in 4th. So there's a good chance for both of them, really. And this is definitely a track Penske can win at for sure. We've seen in the past. We've seen multitude of guys coming out here and winning. Felix Rosenqvist has won here. When he was driving for Chip Ganassi, Scott Dixon won driving for Ganassi here back in 2020 and in 2017. So, it's going to be a track for one of the big teams to go out and possibly win at. We've seen Alexander Rossi. We talked about him earlier. That could potentially win. It's going to be 3 years since Rossi has won a race this upcoming weekend. So this track here, so he could, this track where he could be good at. Obviously, he's won in 2019. Joseph Newgarden will power all winning at Road America. So it's a tough racetrack, like you said. And, a lot of high speed corners. Of course, turn 1 from turn 14, long high straight corner going up the hill. Turn 3 downhill down into turn 5, long straight here, and always a heavy braking zone going into turn 5, so a lot of potential for passing. Then going through turn 8, 9, and 10, the carousel going through the kink all the way down through Canada or Kettle Bottoms to Canada Corner in turn 12. A lot of high speed action there. We've seen in the past in turn 1, AJ Foyt getting in an accident back in 1991 at Road America and getting injured, and that was possibly going to be the end of AJ Foyt's IndyCar career, but of course it lasted a couple more years. And
1990.
yeah, so
But he only ran ovals after that.
yeah, so a lot of potential here for big moments at this racetrack. And a couple years ago, was it 2017? We saw Tony Kanaan lose it in the kink and plow into the barriers. So yeah, a lot of potential here for heavy accidents, of course, and you got to be able to hit your marks and get them right, of course, and avoid those incidents and everything. So yeah, I think this is probably a track that we see one of the big teams win, like Ganassi or Penske. Even Andretti is still kind of a big team, right? With Rossi starting to run better, we could maybe we might see something from Romain Grosjean. Made a lot of highlights here at this track at this race last year, so definitely a potential for that there. I mean, even look out for McLaren, right? Pato O'Ward and Felix Rosenquist, of course. Like I mentioned earlier, Rosenquist already won at this track. O'Ward didn't finish well at this race last year. Finished in 9th place, so not really as high as what he wanted, but certainly the McLaren team certainly on a uprise this season compared to where they were a year ago. So think O'Ward possibly could get a chance here to win this race or finish on the podium. We'll have to see, but I think definitely between those teams you're gonna find your winner for sure. But probably lean towards Penske or Ganassi car that I think is probably a shoe in for this victory for sure. And I think I go ahead and take it. I think Alex Palou can defend his win from last year and go out and not only win it by good fortune like he did last year, but actually go out and win it outright by dominating the race. So I'll call it right here: Alex Palou winning this Sunday at Road America.
Yeah, in my excitement, since Nathan McKinnon just went and scored a goal to tie the game, not only did I go and have something that you'll get to see on our YouTube feed, but I disconnected myself. So I think we're going to have like 3 different feeds on our audio, which is just going to be beautiful for me to edit tomorrow. But either way, the thing is, I mean, I agree with you, Josh. I think it's going to be a Ganassi race, whether it's Palou. I feel Dixon. I thought Dixon was going to go out in a rage last week and win. Didn't happen. He was close. But this is his kind of circuit. The next 2 races, or 2 of the next 3 races, are tracks that are Scott Dixon tracks. Road America and Mid-Ohio. He's won there like 8 trillion times, each of them. At the end of the day, Scott Dixon wants a 7 championship. He didn't get Indy. So now what is he trying to do? Get number 7. Join the likes of Foyt, Petty, Earnhardt, Johnson, Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, be 7-time. Like that's what he wants at this point, and what better way to do it than in Wisconsin, Road America, Honda's home, American home, Wisconsin, for where they build their cars and stuff. Would see if Habbo might make an appearance on the telecast, would be great. Lives over there and has his dealerships over there. Alexander Rossi, though, is going to be tough. He's motivated. He's a guy to look at for sure. Wouldn't count out Pato O'Ward either. He has done very well at Road America and IndyCar. I mean, it should be a great race. It'll be a good build up to the day. You'll have, so similar to what we had a couple weeks ago in the greatest day of motorsports, you'll have Baku Formula One, you'll have IndyCar Road America, you'll have Sonoma Cup Series action. So you'll be able to have a nice day full of racing on Sunday. And there will be a lot of good action at great motorsports facilities. Not so sure about Baku being a great motorsports facility, but Road America is. And Sonoma, it's a good road course for whatever it is. But we will see what happens there and what some of these other people can do. Close shot there. But we'll go to Sonoma. It'll be the first time in a few years that they're running the short circuit using instead of running the carousel and the hairpin like they used to do in the initial configuration of the track, they're going back to the short chute configuration at Sonoma, which they started running back in 1998. Oh man, that's a goal. Gabriel Landeskog, or is that Nishukin? Oh boy. Wow, look at that. But it's Nishukin. On the power play to Landeskog, passes back to McCarr. McCarr goes to, oh man, that is outstanding. They were down 4-2 when I put this game on. They've scored 3 goals and Rantanen, my fault. Mikko Rantanen. 5:13 to go in the game 4. Colorado up 5-4. Okay, all right, let's get back to the show. So Jeff Gordon, of course, started his domination on road courses because they went and made that change to Sonoma. He won 3 straight years. Tony won in 2001 when Robbie Gordon started getting distracted by Kevin Harvick. I forget what happened in 2001. He was driving the 7 car. All I know is that Robbie Gordon was driving the 7 car for Jim Smith, and he was filling in as a road course ringer, and he was leading the race, and he got into it, I think, with Kevin Harvick. And because of that, Tony Stewart won that race. And that was the first of what worked out to be 3 wins for Tony at Sonoma. Of course, in 2005, he won the championship. And then in 2016, I should queue up the video here while you go and let me, I'll let you go and preview this, and I'll get to go and play me losing my crap, and then we can go and play it on audio here in a second. One of the most epic celebrations of a fan losing his crap. Tony Stewart's 49th and last Cup Series victory when he used up Denny Hamlin's bitch ass to go and win that after Denny Hamlin went and wheel hopped into him in turn 5, but they call it turn 7. I don't know how you go from turn 4 and call it turn 7, but in NASCAR parlance, that's how it works. But then that's, kind of explains a lot of things. We're not going to get into stereotypes and inbred shit, but yeah. But that was, I'm going to go and queue up that video here in a second while Josh goes and tells you who he thinks is going to win this weekend at Sonoma.
Yeah, Phil, I'd love to see it. That video is always a gold mine there to watch. So yeah, looking forward to you queuing that up here in a second. But this this race is gonna be interesting, especially going back to the old layouts. So kind of a bit of different feel we haven't seen last couple of years. But you expect the guys that have been good at road course racing to start with, over the last few years, to come out here and excel at this race. We've seen Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott the last couple of seasons become really good at road course racing. So expect that to take place here. Them both being up front, home track for Kyle Larson from Northern California. So definitely think he'll be up front for sure. Ross Chastain, last road course winner for the Cup Series, winning at Coda, could come out here, and it's a very technical track as well, Sonoma. So could see Ross Chastain be one of the front runners in this race. I think guys like Martin Truex, who won here in 2019 on the short shoot layout, could definitely be a guy that we see come out here and win at this racetrack. Think Kyle Busch possibly be another winner here. Uh, he's a good road course racer. He's had several wins at this racetrack, or one win at this racetrack. So I think he could come out with a possible win or a top 10. Um, I think Denny Hamlin is another guy that's fairly decent in the last few years at road courses. Of course, you mentioned him in 2016 against Tony Stewart, coming out on the short end of that stick in that race. Could come out here and win. So it's going to be an interesting race with a lot of comers and goers and stuff, especially stage racing strategy kind of ruins road course racing because the fuel strategy and everything and the tire situation. So it's I don't know, not really the way I like it, I guess, but that it is what it is, and it's been around for 5 years now. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how teams adjust, especially with this new car. We'll see what kind of incidents kind of play out, especially with the Goodyear tires. Different layout or different formula this year, and it's a lot easier to have a flat tire than it is in the past, especially if you spin out. So we'll see what happens, especially going into some of these corners here. From turn 4 to 7, like you said, in the short shoot, do we see something like cars spin out and then they can't recover and then they have to throw out the caution because they got a flat tire, or they limp it around the course at 35 miles an hour where everybody else is going a lot faster than that. It's going to be interesting. But I'd probably pick Chase Elliott. I think he can come out here and win at Sonoma, which he's never won at Sonoma before. I don't think he's only won at the other road courses that we've
Yeah, he
had.
hasn't won at Sonoma. That's one of the only ones he hasn't
So
won at.
so this
Um,
would be interesting if he can pick up a win here at Sonoma.
yeah, and they just Edmonton just tied the game, so there's 2:15 to go in regulation. 3 games to none lead for the Colorado Avalanche, but it's a 5-5 game with 2:15 to go. Probably going to overtime here. I think Chase Elliott is somebody to look at, of course. I would venture to say that the other Chase, that's actually named Chase, Chase Briscoe, is another person. He had a great run going at Coda earlier this year and wasn't able to close the deal there. But then it's become kind of like a trend that closing isn't his greatest trait. I would look at. I mean, you brought up Ross Chastain, Josh, when it comes to the his win at Coda. I would look at Daniel Suarez, who had a dominant car early in that race at Coda and then kind of fell away. You're looking at this points battle right now, all these different winners. Suarez needs a win. Points aren't going to go in his favor right now unless he goes and starts knocking off top fives on the regular. But if he can get stage points and top fives, maybe, but you get a win, you put yourself in. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to go and say, I'm not going to do the homer pick. I'm not going to pick Briscoe. I'm not going to pick Harvick because he hasn't really done a whole lot in road courses in a while. I'm going to go and pick Daniel Suarez. I'm going to go and say Daniel Suarez gets his first career win. Him and his amigos get to party with a lot of wine at Sonoma. Generally not known as a track where people get their first wins, of course, in Cup, but it would be a cool thing to see. Of course, Tony Stewart at the track where he won his last race, he'll be in the booth. Be something that Briscoe could win in his car. I'm pretty sure there would be a lot of beer on Clint Boyer's head. That does happen. I think you have to look at Cindric as a wild card. I mean, he's not really a wild card on a road course, but in the sense that he hasn't been that competitive. If he was able to go and make something happen here, get that second win, lock himself into the playoffs, would be a huge deal there as well. And then, the Toyotas, are always solid there. Martin Truex is a multiple-time winner at Sonoma. He's one of the best there. Can he go and give himself that, solidify himself into the playoff with an opportunity by going and winning there? It's a track where I think Sonoma is more of an open track where you're able to put yourself in the place to go and make it happen. I think Watkins Glen's more of a driver's track. Sonoma is more about going and kind of just putting yourself in position. If you drive well, it'll pay off at Watkins Glen. You don't have to really drive the best. You just kind of have to get yourself in position at Sonoma. And so we'll see stages of, as Josh mentioned too, of really fucked up road racing in the Cup Series has made it worse, and not for the better. So guess we'll see what happens with that on Sunday, and then we'll talk about it on episode 119. Josh, let us know what you're doing on the what do you call sim side, and what's going on with that, and where some of the places you're going to be going here in upcoming weeks. And then I actually have, oh, there you go. So I do have it. I don't know if you heard that part over there with the video playing, but
Oh, yeah, I think you have to share your screen for that.
so I'll go and share my screen, go live, go and do that, and go to that. Oh, it kicked out. Trying to do that. It won't work, but stop streaming. Yeah. No quality. Okay, good. Can you hear that?
No, here, give me
You
the
can
link.
hear it on the background.
Yeah, give me the link. I'll share it.
I'm gonna go having a little bit of technical here at the end of the GSP.
Yeah, go ahead and copy paste that. I got you. All right. Excuse me. All right. Share. Yep.
So just as a preface, this was me at the end of the 2016 Sonoma race, when Tony was leading late, and he hadn't won in 3 years, over 3 years in a Cup car. All the shit that had gone on, broken his leg,
Tony,
had the whole war deal go on there as well. And he was finally in a position to possibly win. He had went and injured his back, sandrail driving with now his future wife, or his now wife.
what do you think, Philip?
And missed the Daytona 500, missed other races, and he needed to win a race to get into the playoff. So this is the aftermath of all these years of frustrate. It's like Mike Joy's announcement when Dale Earnhardt finally won the 500. It was the amalgamation of years of frustration and anger and sadness, along with one of my good friends who is now past the safer barrier, giving me shit the whole entire time while Tony was leading the race. And saying, oh, he's going to lose, oh, fuck Tony, all the shit that he would always say. And, you know, between the amount of social lubrication I'd already had at that point, plus not wanting to listen to him, and the fact that he hadn't won in 3 years, this is what happened.
Yeah, so play again.
I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
Nope.
Wait, hold on. You don't hear anything? Wait, let me...
You're live, but I don't hear anything.
Should be able to hear this. Hold on.
It's the same kind of thing as what I had going, too.
Can you hear that now?
That's it. It's over. Tony.
Yeah! Yes! Yes! Motherfucker! Yes! What do you think, Philip? Fucking hell yeah, man! Oh, God.
I just yelled all that. I just yelled with the video and everything. It just missed it. Oh, fuck it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Man. That was exciting. Like, I know you guys have you and Joe with Dale Jr. winning those races, but it was the 2005 Brickyard 400 for me. It still makes me emotional watching that race. I remember when I originally watched that race. It still makes me every time I watch it. That race, Coke Zero 400 a few weeks before was pretty big too. 2002 Watkins Glen was a big one because I think he was going to get fired. And then, I mean, in regards to wins, that win meant so much to me as a fan. And I've been excited. I got emotional when Brad won his last race for Penske last year. And I was really shocked how emotional I got. But I kind of knew it was going to be his last win there. But it wasn't the same, you know, because of I had invested all those years. It's when that's your favorite driver for so long. And to have to go through all those bad times, thinking about what I'd went through previously, losing drivers as a fan, and then Ernie getting hurt and all that, and then getting to Tony, and then Tony being in all the shit that ended up happening to him. It was meaningful, and I think if you're a real race fan, you're liable to have a moment that is embarrassing like that, and hilarious for your friends to go and goof on you about. It's okay. I'd rather be goofed on because I have passion than to just be some person who's just a hater or a clickbait person or whatever. You know, like that's what racing is about. It's been my life. It's been my life since I was a little kid. This has been 31 years, you know, and that's what it is. If you really love something, if there's something that really means something to you, That's what you're supposed to be chasing. That's what about life's supposed to be about. That's why this show exists. Me freaking out, losing my crap with the barrier. The backstory to that is interesting in its own right. There's plenty to that backstory, but it was a great day, and hopefully I can go and celebrate like a lunatic on Sunday because Briscoe wins. Because I know if that happens, then freaking Tony's gonna lose his shit too. But if not, I figure it'll probably be a status quo person like a Hendrick driver or Gibbs guy. But Josh, before did you go and do the whole sim deal? Did you
No.
say where you're gonna race? Yeah, so let's go and get into that before we close.
Yeah, we were talking about your deal, but no, I mean, for me, it's always been this and sim racing, I guess, since I was a little kid. But now this week, iRacing week 13. This the fun week between seasons. We just finished season 2 on iRacing. Now we transition to season 3, so there'll be a whole bunch of new racetracks and stuff and content, which they just released the GT3 and the Mercedes AMG GT3 and the the GT4. So should be interesting road course car for the GT4 class. And they released a Fuji Speedway and Sandown circuit from Japan and Australia. So should be interesting there. And you'll break down those tracks with the new GT4 Mercedes. So should be a lot of fun. You want to get those contents on iRacing. The other, they've got some of the other tracks. Oh yeah, there's a new Radical SR10, which that's one of the other road racing cars that they have on that racetrack or on the the server and everything. So it's gonna be interesting stuff for new content and some of the other series that races in the week 13 ridiculousness with Lotus 79, Stock Car Brazil, and then the Mazda MX-5. So it's gonna be a lot of class overlap and things between 3 completely different class of race car.
It sounds like dinner with races.
Yes,
is what it
that's
sounds
what it
like.
sounds like. The sporting code still applies, but you're not going to lose any safety or I ratings. So kind of have fun or whatever, as long as you don't do anything intentional. Or no intentional wrecking, stuff like that. So should be a
So
lot
out
of
of
fun.
curiosity, if you were to race in that race, which one would you choose?
Probably
The
just do
seven.
the Miata, because most people own the Miata, and that's probably one I would do. I don't have Stock Car Brazil, and Lotus. I've never raced on the Lotus 79, so I probably just stick to one I know. But I mean, it's a lot
Yeah.
of fun, especially because you're going to be the slow one, and people have to go around you.
I
So.
was thinking to me, the 79, it's one of the greatest Formula One cars ever. Mario Andretti's World Championship winning car, if you have it, of course. If you don't have it, that's a whole different thing. But then when it comes to the Miatas, a spec Miata class, at least it's a drafting battle. You're having to just stay in position and wait for all the nonsense to happen late. It's kind of super speedway racing on steroids because there's 30 of you all in one spot, really. And you're not going to go away that easy. You're really only going to be taken out by the Brazil stock cars, which basically are made out of balsa wood.
Yeah.
When they hit the wall, it's not pretty. Which is amazing to me that Tony Kanaan, his wife, allows him to go and drive him, but that's beside the point. But so check Josh out on his stream, which is on Twitch. So where can we see your Twitch stream there, Josh?
Yeah, of course. Go on twitch.tv/usailor2. Go watch my racing on there. Still got all my content. Still the Indy 500. Still got that up there. So go ahead and check that out and see how I did, which I won. So you can see how that happened and everything, and all future content be on there, of course.
Yeah, and somebody freaking out and losing their voice and going nuts. Yeah, he did that too. So no, everyone wants to judge people. Yeah, no, we both are passionate about racing. He's done it behind the wheel. I've done it behind the wheel too, but not at that level. I've done it with a lot of social lubrication, and I've done it in other areas. So the fact of the matter is, we're two friends that have passion for motorsports. That's why the GSP is the place you want to be.
Yeah, so of course that's on the menu this weekend, of course, for racing, or this week for racing. Of course, real life, I may do some, I don't know, let's think about maybe doing some go-karting this weekend in Orlando or something, going to Orlando Kart Center or K1 Speed, both pretty good places to go out and go run karting. So maybe on Friday or something like that, I don't know, or Saturday, do some karting if I have some time. Not sure exactly what my weekend plans are yet, but if I'm totally free, I'll probably do some of that maybe. We'll see. So go there, or well, I don't know. I don't have any video camera or anything like that, so you wouldn't be able to see it. Although K1 Speed does provide, if you want, they do provide video camera that they can tape your races. They have like a GoPro or something to give you to attach on your helmet, and then you race, or yeah, you do your race thing, and then I think they send you the video clip of your race if you want it there. But got that, and then the rest of the stuff, with Twitch and I already said Twitch and everything. So the social stuff, Twitter, JP Huffine, go there, follow and watch. Follow and see what I have to say about racing and all the stuff about other things like sports, like football, UFC, baseball, whatever, basketball, NBA finals this week, next week, NHL finals this week, next week. So we'll see what happens. Phillips are rooting for Colorado Avalanche. I would like to see the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, why not keep going for the three-peat? They've gone 2-time defending champions in Stanley Cup, so let's go for 3 in a row. Why not? Not really, haven't really been into hockey that much, but why not? Let's hop onto the bandwagon. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, that's I guess what I'm into right now, and of course, again, JP Huffine Twitter, Twitch TV/UCO2, and then of course the YouTube where this will be on later this week. Gripstrip Podcast YouTube. Go look up that and talk about, or watch us talk about all the racing stuff and our interviews that we had with Joe and Spencer Neff a couple weeks ago for the 500 in Monaco and 600, and then you can go and watch all that stuff. We'll post the video of this, and you can watch our latest edition and all the other good content that we have on our video page. So yeah, go subscribe, like, comment on all our videos.
Yeah, and you mentioned Tampa Bay going for a three-peat, and then they're going against the New York Rangers. One of our guys in our fantasy football league, one of my boys, Manny, he's a New York Rangers fan. So he's looking for the Rangers. We've been joking around for a long time because he's a Rangers fan. I'm an Avalanche fan. It'd be something if there was a Rangers Avalanche Cup final. So there is a possibility of that. They are in overtime here in Game 4. Just started. Stick just fell out. Cale McCarr just got slashed, it looks like. It's not good. But he's on the bench. Okay, he's okay. So we'll see about that. For me, I'm behind in regards to the audio of an episode. The video feed, of course, is out there. Josh posted it. So if you want to see episode 117, it's already out there. Episode 118 and all the different parts it's going to be in will be out along with 117 here shortly. You can follow me at Philip G. Matthew on Twitter. You can follow us at GripStripPod on Twitter. PhilipGMatthew.com. You can find the show on the blog site. We're on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, Podbean, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Verbal, and of course the GripStrip Podcast YouTube page, as Josh mentioned earlier. And, we're in the Stanley Cup Finals. Holy Mother of God. Wow. With that,
Hey,
I'm going
congratulations.
to end the Grip Strip podcast with the Colorado Avalanche for the first time in 21 years. They're doing a review, though. They're doing a review. We'll let you know what said review states here. I kind of want to hold on here because
Oh, yeah.
there's. Oh, it hit him in the head. Oh, no, that's a goal. It's a good goal. That is a good goal. It's over. The freaking Colorado Avalanche just won. They came back from 4-2 down, letting in. Oh, Cale Makar with the send after getting sent off, went and hit Lenton, deflected. Oh man, that is sexy. Oh
Who
man,
did they win over?
they won over the Edmonton Oilers in a 4-game sweep.
All right.
Oh man, so Colorado Avalanche, first time in 21 years, are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. I was in high school. I was around a bunch of Devils fans who all said really disturbing, fucked up shit to me during that said Stanley Cup final, saying awful things and saying this and that and the other was going to happen. And in the end, the Colorado Avalanche came through. What is it called? Ray Bork in his final games of his legendary, illustrious career won a Stanley Cup in his final series and was able to retire as a Stanley Cup champion. And in this case, the Colorado Avalanche, after being down 4-2 in this game, have now won 6-5, 4-game sweep, and they're on to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in 21 years. Joe Sakic, who is the GM and the president of the club, now was the captain when they won the Stanley Cup the last time in 2001. Him and Forsberg and Patrick Waugh, Ray Bork, amongst other people that were on that team. So, exciting moment here on the Grip Strip podcast. Got to hear it live. I got some more hockey to go and watch here in the summer. Hopefully, the Avs can go and win a Stanley Cup, and I'll be a happy guy if that happens. But they got through to the Western Conference Finals. Finally, got past that hump. Got over that with the St. Louis Blues. And then somehow or another beat Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and that whole entire crew at the Edmonton Oilers, one of the best teams in the league. And now they get to wait to see who they will play, whether it's the Tampa Bay Lightning, which Josh is rooting for, or the New York Rangers, which Manny's rooting for. We'll see what happens with that, and we'll update you here on the next episode of the Grip Strip podcast. But for Josh, I'm Phil. Take care. Take care of one another. Be good to one another in this time and this day and age of all the effed up stuff that's going on. And be smart. Go and use thought and logic. It's not that hard. If you're a dumbass, just stay out. But if you're a dumbass, you're not listening to the show, to be fair. But if you know people who are dumbasses, tell them to stay home and stay in like a padded room to protect us from those idiots so that we can go and live our lives and or get them help because they probably do need it. But otherwise, take care. God bless. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.